Hi again, welcome back to math class. We're looking at chapter 1.4. It's another algebra lesson on powers and exponents. Not superpowers, just math powers, which in some cases are super. Powers and exponents. Don't let this scare you. It's actually not at all scary. It's very easy, especially because we're only going to use powers of 10. Powers of 10 and exponents, so that makes it a little bit easier. And it's only slightly complicated when we change it up. First I'm going to just show you a pattern. 10 times 10. Okay, this first number, this is just a number. This is a product with two factors in it. Factor 1 is 10 and factor 2 is 10. 10 is just 10. 10 times 10 is 100. So that's equal to 100. 10 times 10 times 10 is equal to 100 times 10, which is 1,000. And I don't know, it's pretty clear to see the pattern that you have 2 zeros in 10 times 10 and 2 zeros in 100, 3 zeros in 10 times 10 times 10, and 3 zeros in 1,000. So it's kind of a fun pattern that's coming out. One of the things that we can do, we can call this, we can use some scientific math language to change the way that we talk about this. When we have something that's multiplied over and over and over again, it's like an exponent. It's actually called 10 to the third power, and it means 10 times 10 times 10. And a real quick second grade review, when you were adding 10 plus 10, you got 20. Second grade review, and you learned how to multiply. Say we did 10 times 2, that's actually just adding repeatedly. That means 10 plus 10 twice, which is 20. Or you could do it another way. You could say 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2, I'm going to run out of space, plus 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 equals 20. Okay, so we can say 10 times 2 is 10 twice, or 10 times 2 is 2 10 times. Either way we get 20. So this is kind of like you had adding in second grade and you learned to multiply, and you realize that multiplication is just adding quickly, adding a number of times, and exponents or powers are similar. But it's more like multiplying a number of times. So you see that 10, why am I pushing that button again? 10 to the third power is really 10 times 10 times 10, which is 1,000. So 10 to the third power is 1,000, and we're just multiplying 3 times. When we multiply, we add over and over again. When we use powers and exponents, we multiply over and over again. And so that's really the big difference. You're going to have to kind of zone in on that and figure out how that works. Now, we go to a new page. We'll wipe that page. And I just got to give you the basic lineup. We have 10 to the third. That's what we came up with. It means 10 times 10 times 10. And this big number is called the base. And this little 3 is called the exponent. And the operation is called a power. It is a power. This whole thing is a power, but the big number on the bottom is the base. The little number on top is the exponent. The exponent just tells you how many times you're going to multiply the base. Okay? So again, I think you've already got this figured out. Let's just real quickly, what if we were to do 10 to the fifth power? That is equal to 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. I got to count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 10 to the fifth power. And you know that 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. 1,000 times 10 is 10,000. And 10,000 times 10 is 100,000. 100,000 looks like this. And if you were to count up your zeros, you'd see that there are 5 zeros over here and 5 zeros over here, and that's something that you've been learning right along anyway, so you can see how easy that is. It's very easy. Okay, there's two things I'm going to tell you. The first one is that there's an interesting pattern. 10, undo, undo again. 10 to the 1 power is 10. 10 to the 2 power is 100. You can see the pattern. 10 to the 3rd power is 1000. What is 10 to the 0 power? What would the pattern tell you? It's just equal to 1. You see that pattern? Now this is not as intuitive as you might think. You sort of just have to know this. And the truth is that there are lots of other powers. You can do 10 to the 1/2 or 10 to the 0.5. Weird ways to write it like this. This is not something you're going to have to worry about right now, but it is kind of an interesting thing, and it follows the pattern in one way. But we're not going to worry about that today. But we do need you to understand that anything to the 0 power is 1. 10 to the 0 power is 1, and any number to the 0 power ends up being 1. So it's just something for you to put in your little factoid file folder that you have in your brain. Yeah. Okay, let's change colors back to blue, and I want to show you what happens when we do something like 7 times 10 to the 3rd. Now, order of operations tells us that we have to do certain things first. We want to use grouping signs first. We do powers second. Now, it's something that you may have heard about before, but we'll practice that a little more in the future. So you always do power second, which means that we're going to leave the 7 alone, and we're going to multiply 10 to the 3rd power. Remember that 10 to the 3rd power is 10 times 10 times 10, which is equal to 1,000. So 10 to the 3rd power is 1,000. So this is where we started, and this is what it's equal to. 7 times 10 to the 3rd power is 7 times 1,000. And mental math tells you that 7 times 1,000 is 7,000. Voila, you have an answer. Maybe try one more. Yeah, let's just do something fairly simple. 12 times 10 to the 2nd. That is equal to 12 times 100. What's 12 times 100? Well, remember that 12 times 1 is just 12, and then you include your other zeros. And you can check on your calculator to make sure that that works, but it should start to make sense for you after you've seen it a bunch of times. And wipe that out, change colors, black, smiley face with a nose and a smile and a little stick out your tongue and say, I like powers. And say like Arnold Schwarzenegger, I like powers.